Just recently, David Solomon of Goldman Sachs, or DJ Sol, had commented publicly that they believe AI can help accelerate the drafting of nearly 95% of an S1 filing or a prospectus filing, the document required to take a company public. Hey, I'm Andrew from Wall Street Prep, and I've personally taken several companies public during my time at JP Morgan, where we've actually hunkered down in a conference room and helped companies draft this S1 filing to file with the SEC. And what it virtually looks like is all of the book runners, the company counsel, book runner and underwriter counsel sometimes, and a lot of other experts in the room, drafting these documents line by line, one by one, iterating before filing with the SEC. Once the SEC reviews that, they then share comments back to the book runners. The book runners and the company will then turn all those comments to refile and ultimately flip that document public, disclosing that information to public investors to allow them to make the decision as to whether or not they want to invest in the business. So given that comment, I wanted to just push these tools as far as we could go and see what we could actually get done in drafting an S1 filing. Keep in mind, this is virtually from scratch. Okay, nothing has been pre-done other than the company information that I have, which I used other tools to help create this fictitious company information. So if you're curious to learn how I did that, just subscribe and follow for more, because I will show you how I use tools like Claude from Anthropic and other Copilot tools to help create the information that I'm going to use. I'm going to assume that I'm really a junior banker. I'm going to tell the tools that I'm a senior banker, and we really want to just get as close to helping our client as possible. But with that, let's dive in. So on the right-hand side, I've got just a Word doc open with Copilot plugged in. So I've got Copilot going on here. We'll use that a little bit. And on the left-hand side, I've got ChatGPT open. This is my desktop application, and I'm using Model 4.0. So with that, let's dive in. I'm going to start just by asking Copilot within the Word document to please draft me an outline for an S1 prospectus filing. And let's start there and see what Copilot can do for me. Comprehensive God, I don't know what that is, but we'll see what that means here in a minute. It looks like, okay, all these things I think I'm familiar with. Makes sense. Yep, MD&A, things you'll typically see in 10Ks as well. That makes sense. You've got some business overview, some management, something about the stockholders, certain relationships. You know, again, I'm acting as though I'm a junior investment banker. I really don't know what a lot of these things are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, keep it for now. Okay, everything is there. Comprehensive God. I don't totally understand what that means, but we'll change that in a bit. And I'm just going to work with ChatGPT as well to confirm that all these things are true and that we actually want all this information. So let me just go ahead and, actually, you know what, before I go there, I'm just going to turn to ChatGPT and kind of start to tee this up and iterate with the tool a little bit. I'm going to copy a prompt that I've written out. You are a very senior investment banker. We are a book runner on a new IPO that should be offering. The company we are taking public is a consumer packaged goods company making energy drinks, electrolyte drinks, and protein snack bars. They are based in the U.S. and have nearly $500 million in revenue. I need help drafting an S1 prospectus filing. Do you understand what that filing is? And let's just see what they say. Okay, great. So I'm just going to say, so it looks like it knows what an S1 filing is, and I'm just going to include my outline and just say, here is my outline for the S1. Are there any sections that we need or don't need based on what you know and things that you like from my outline? Please create a single new consolidated outline for us to work from. So I'm going to jump over to my Word doc, copy the outline that Copilot has provided to me, and include that here for ChatGPT. And let's see what it says. Okay, cool. So I like this outline quite a bit more. It did give quite a few recommendations, and it just consolidated a new outline. Now, keep in mind, I have done this before, so I'm seeing some of these terms and I'm seeing this layout, and a lot of it makes sense to me. And if you're a junior banker, I encourage you to take a look at some of the S1s out there that are filed publicly and just read through to understand the anatomy of an S1 filing. But this largely looks good to me. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and copy this, delete out everything that I had prior in that Word doc, and just go ahead and paste in what ChatGPT had given me, and that looks good. Okay, so from there, we're all on the same page. I'm going to go ahead and tell ChatGPT the information that I have. Here are the items I have from my client. What sections do you recommend drafting first, given this information. And I will paste in that photo, which is really just the filings you'll see here in a minute. So here are the filings that I have ready to go. Given the files you have from your client, here's what I suggest we draft. Use of proceeds, okay, that makes sense. Files likely, okay, sure. MD&A, okay, sounds good. I've got financial statements in there they can use. Cap table and dilution, all looks good. Business in the prospectus summary, okay, makes sense. And then risk factors. Some litigation is crucial. All right, makes sense. Immediate next step, extract the details. Oh, this is perfect. So it's actually telling me what filings it wants, which is helpful. Perfect. So use of proceeds, financial statements, cap table, company pres, and litigation and contract deal. So I'm just going to say, great, here you go. Okay, and let's go grab those filings. I've got all of them here. Okay, here I'm just going to select all of them and drag them straight into ChatGPT. While those are uploading, I'll just say I created an entirely fictitious company. All this information you're seeing came from either Copilot or Claude from Anthropic. So if you're curious to learn how I created all this information from scratch, please subscribe, follow along for more, and I'll take you through exactly how I created all this information from virtually nothing just in minutes. But with that, I've got all this information uploaded, and I will just go ahead go. So while that's uploading, I will show you what's inside. Here's the company presentation. Comprehensive overview of Vital Edge company is in its key products and offerings. And again, this PowerPoint, this presentation I created entirely from scratch using Copilot. Pretty impressive. Now, it's lightweight. There's not a lot in there, but for the sake of this exercise, this is what I've created. And in, let's see, cap table, all this data is from Excel. Okay, and I've created this entirely from scratch. Now, I prompted it to come up with kind of the key stakeholders, the leaders, all of the shares, total shares, and some more detail, but all of this was made up. Okay, so again, follow along in a separate video to help, and I'll actually show you how that was created. Okay, cool. So what do we have? Based on the documents provided, here's the recommended order and drafting sections. Okay, great. Use of proceeds, perfect. Ready to draft based on 25. So I'm going to say, let's draft the use of proceeds. And I'll just say, do that now. Okay, this is good. You know, the presentation will be different when you actually settle this and you iterate. I've seen this in table format. I've seen this in a few different formats, but this is largely really good. I think this looks clean. Use of proceeds section is coming together well. I don't have a reason, at least from my lens, to iterate this now, but I've got something I can actually take into the meeting room to start to draft and iterate with my team. So, variations in use. Yeah, perfect. I have no reason to change this. Let me go ahead and take use of proceeds. I'll copy that over. Just use of, there we go. How funds are allocated. Here we go. I'm just going to copy right over that, paste all that information in there, and I am good to go. Perfect. Draft is clearly structured, aligns with the investor expectations. Great. What should we draft next? Okay, I can see that it's kind of just explaining a lot, which is fine. It's good for my own understanding, and I can actually justify this to my team. But let's go ahead and just start to draft this. So please, look at that. I didn't even have to ask it to do that. It's just going to go ahead and draft this for me right here. So that's fantastic. It shows me on the right-hand side the draft, which is exactly what I'm going to copy and paste into my ProSup short for prospectus, into my doc on the right-hand side, and I've got all of my prompts there on the left-hand side. So I don't need to type anymore. I'm just going to sit and wait and let this thing happen, and this is starting to look pretty good. I mean, I created these financials, and I know that this information is right. I'll go check that here in a minute. It's got some growth strategy in there, the offering, which has brackets around it. Again, I'll take you there in just a minute. But this is starting to look really, really good. I'm just going to copy and paste prospectus summary. Okay, I will just Control C. Let me go find prospectus summary. Wow, look at that. All right, I'm going to just copy right over that. I've got all that section filled in. I'm going to save up on there and say, Looks good. Let's move on. All right, so it got a little buggy just for a minute, but let me just say, let's draft the next section and see what it helps me to do here in my prospectus. It looks like it's actually slowing down quite a bit. I don't have any reason to believe that that's my computer. I really have no idea what is going on. Maybe we pushed it to its limits. Okay, well, there you go. I guess it can't do everything. And again, maybe it's just the version that I'm on. Of course, the tools that are inside of Goldman Sachs are going to be bulletproof and can work pretty well, but it failed to edit. You see this here, it's failing to edit. So let me go ahead and just scroll up a little bit and see what it suggested we do next. This part is done. I've copied that in. Now I want that MD&A management discussion and analysis. So let me just copy that and paste that and tell it to tell it to draft that section and see if it could do it for me. So again, it slowed down. Okay, here we go. We jump started the thing a little bit and we can get a little bit more has been fully drafted and integrated. I don't know that I saw that. If that is true, yeah, I didn't see that. Okay, so there we go. This section is drafted. MD&A. Management, discussion, and analysis. And let me just go ahead and paste that in there. Cool. So that's some user error if that's the case. Let me jump back and say, I'm just going to copy and paste like I did a minute ago. Let's draft the risk factors. Great. Let's draft and just keep going right here in this canvas. Oh, okay, so I see what's going on now. It's just going to layer in on this canvas on the right-hand side. It's going to take a minute. Let's see. Hopefully it does not stop short of what we wanted it to do like it did just a minute ago, but I can see that it's just panning through this. Let's see where it takes us. Okay, so it's actually writing out these risk factors. In my view, it's taking a bit of time. So DJ Soul, I don't know about minutes, but we're moving along pretty well. Let's go ahead and just keep tracking this and see what we can pull in there too. And I will say, I have written a lot of these in the past, and if you've ever read a 10K or an S1 filing, these are much more exhaustive and thorough than this. Some of them will be boilerplate. They'll be taken from current counsel. So if I had that, like if I had underwriters counsel's kind of templates and boilerplate stuff plugged into my tool here, I'd probably be in better shape. But this is good, honestly, just to create from scratch. So let me just go ahead and add this in, risk factors. I'm going to find that section and boom, go ahead and copy that section in. And here we go. Let's just keep on going. I've got one more section to draft before we go ahead and save this down and move on. So let's draft capitalization and dilution, see what it can come up with. This one's a bit tricky because the share detail that I provided wasn't quite what you would typically see from like a Carta export or from the repository where shares are actually stored at the company. So, but let's see. I think ChatGPT will get us pretty close. Nonetheless, we've been going here for just a few minutes, and I see some really interesting information being written from ChatGPT, which I find to be pretty compelling. So let's go ahead and give it a minute. Let it generate the capitalization and dilution, and we'll add it to our S1. All right, and there you have it. They've finished the capitalization and dilution piece, but here's a very subtle yet very important thing that's happened that I want to notice, that I want to look at together. So I've got my capitalization and dilution section here, and it looks fine. Okay, it looks good. I don't know that this is exactly where I want to land, but have a look at this. It inserted the section where it should go in the outline, and as I scroll down to look at those risk factors, they're now different. So in this second iteration, ChatGPT has changed the risk factors that were previously there. They're totally different, which requires me to have to go and read that, and they don't look as long as what I had before. So that's an issue to me. But nonetheless, I kind of like the cap table and dilution piece. So I'm going to take this, and of course, this will probably come with some Excel exports that ChatGPT just can't do. For now, I think this is fine. I'm going to copy and paste in the capitalization section here, and that should get us to a good spot. All right, so there you have it. We drafted quite a bit of this S1, but I don't think it's quite ready for showtime. I'd probably give it a 5 out of 10. It didn't entirely draft an S1 filing for me from scratch. I mean, I had to prompt it quite a bit. I really had to watch for things. It slowed down in certain areas. And to be honest, if I were to go match this against some of the best S1s that are filed out there in the public domain, I don't think this would be a spot-on match for what the SEC would expect. And there's still a lot of work to do. However, you can see how you can use this for a lot of good use to at least start to prompt and create writers and start to get a lot of useful information into that S1. So it got us somewhere, but not quite ready for showtime. Follow along for more, subscribe if you're curious to see how I've created all that company information for Vital Edge from scratch, using tools like Claude, using tools like ChatGPT, and creating all that data from scratch. Follow along and I'll produce a few more videos demonstrating exactly how I did that.